Hello and salutations, so welcome to this edition of Battle in the Trenches. I'm your host, as always, Jonders. Been gone. Been left by my lonesome. My phone don't ring no more, but it does ring when Steve Catalano is probably on a plane or something. Ryan McGinley is my partner here. Ryan McGinley, can you tell me where Steve is? Whereabouts? Do we have an APB on him?
I'm assuming Steve's back in Chicago because he's now in Florida, probably herding cattle full time. I don't know what he does in Florida, but he lives there now, and he's a Chicago boy, similar to you. So he's back probably up north.
Yeah, he can perform at Studio 11 at the IO Theater.
That's a great plug.
At 10:30 on Friday, or on Wednesday night, Blackout Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the Mission Theater at IO.
I mean, that's an impressive plug. You worked something completely different into that, but I respect the game. But, you're big time in us now. You turned Twitter DM notifications off, and, there was a miscommunication last week.
Okay. I will not. No. My Twitter notifications never have gone off for DMs. I don't know what it is about. I've tweeted Jack about it personally.
You've reached out to Jack on this.
Jack, he never reached back. I'll tell you that much. But it's not personal, and I've been telling you guys for years, if it's important or time sensitive, please text me.
Yeah, we do have each other's phone numbers, even though we live nowhere near each other, because that's how the internet works these days. You give your phone number to a random guy across the country. But
do you regret giving me your number?
No, because you'll text me late night sometimes, and that's always good for me. I do text
you late night when I'm watching film. Oh man, this. You know what? I remember on. I think it was August 18th last year.
Right.
I texted you. Everybody else is talking about that Sam Darnold, but no, gotta look out for that Lamar Jackson, true. Buddy boy.
Yeah, you're a huge Lamar Jackson guy, and I'm excited to talk about him because.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm huge. I kind of have mixed feelings about Lamar Jackson because of what he's taking away from my boy Russell Wilson.
Listen, you can't be a scorn glover, Jonders. Well, you got to respect it. Do you hate Pat Mahomes too? Because it happened last year as well.
Yeah, man.
Tom Brady, because it happened the year before as well. Because Russell Wilson, always the bridesmaid, and it's tough to watch.
Maybe that's why I like him so much. I'm always the bridesmaid.
Deep moments with Jonders.
Oh, shout out to my buddy Big Rich. This is also going to go on my Forward Pass Thinking thing, and he's shout out to my buddy Big Rich. He got married. You
get the haircut for it. You look great.
No, I didn't go. I wasn't invited.
Oh.
Yeah. He lives in Memphis. I'm a fringe friend.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I respect
you send a nice
Rich.
card?
I might now. I didn't even know about it, to be honest with you.
Oh, you weren't invited. You just saw it on Facebook and you said, shout out Big Rich. He might listen to this.
He might, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
He's been on the show before. I don't know. He does it every year when we talk about Nintendo stuff before. You know what? I don't need to explain my friendship and my level of friendships with you, okay? Yeah. If Big Rich is a nice guy, we like each other, it's fine. We are both comfortable with the level of friendship that we have for one another. One another. What are you thankful for this year?
I'm thankful for this great show that has gotten 2,000 views the last 2 weeks, And
without me. Without me. 2,000 views without me. All right, let's get to we're going to do things a little bit differently. Yep. There's not another contestant. Or I don't even know how you guys have been doing without me because I don't watch when I'm not there. But I'm not a fancy head like these guys. These guys are geniuses. They're sitting there running all the tape, going over all the advanced analytics. I'm a guy who goes with his gut.
Yep.
All right. So me and Ryan are going to pick the games, and we'll see who picks more games correctly. But Ryan will also talk.
I'm talking start sits as well, because that's what the people are here for. And besides seeing your face, we're looking for start sits.
They're sick of my face already. They're going to watch this with the... Okay, let's just get to it. All right. You said Steve is probably in Chicago.
Yep.
The Chicago Bears, seemingly every third year or so, travel to Detroit on Thanksgiving to take on the Lions.
Yes, sir.
I don't know who will be playing the halftime show, but Jeff Driscoll is a maybe for this game. Matthew Stafford, I think, is definitely out. I don't know. Mitch Trubisky is going to be the best quarterback that plays in this game, which... Here's my advice.
Yep.
Get all good and drunk on Blackout Wednesday with all your old chums from high school. And then sleep off that hangover and sleep through this one. But I'll take the Chicago Bears.
Oh, 100%. I do like David Montgomery in this game just because they kind of need to figure out what they are going to do with him for the rest of the year, and I mean, get him ready for next year, because I don't like the Bears for the rest of the season. I think they're pretty much done, but I think David Montgomery is going to have to be the feature in this game because Mitch Trubisky and anybody that's on the Detroit Lions that you have, I would advise not playing. Kenny Golladay is like a fringe guy that like you feel like you have to play because you drafted him so high, but you don't really know who's going to be his quarterback. The Bears' defense is still good in the pass defense. The run defense has been a little shaky, but I still wouldn't play Buzz Scarbrough. I don't like really any lines at all.
Can I talk to you about David Montgomery? And so we talked about how we each know each other and have each other's number because we've only met on the internet. I've actually met him in person, but I have his phone number as well. I feel, and like I'm about to throw him under the bus here, and I'm sorry, Adam, but he was really hyping up David Montgomery throughout the offseason, and I kind of feel like he's the reason that we all kind of got on board with him. Moving forward next year, what's your take on David Montgomery's draftability or draft status or whatever you want to say?
He's going to be one of those guys that's like a dart throw in like the late rounds. You know what I mean? Like he's not like a late round guy, but he's not going to be. I think he was an ADP third or fourth round guy this year because the hype was so high. I think you're going to look at him in the 6th or 7th round next year, and you might get value. I mean, he could end up being the guy, depending on who's the quarterback, because I think they've kind of realized we're going to let Mitch Trubisky beat us. And I think the Bears are starting to finally trust him because they got rid of your boy Mike Davis a couple weeks back, and I think that they know that he's got to be the guy because they've already invested so much into him.
Is he not on our roster still?
I don't think he is.
They need to give him a job. All right, let's move forward. This is an old Super Bowl rematch. Buffalo Bills versus the Dallas Cowboys. There'll be footage on Thanksgiving of wide left, so if you're in Buffalo, watch out for that. I'm sure Tony Romo and Jim Nantz will be talking about that one. You pointed out to me before we got on mic that Dak Prescott had 2 points. The clapper will be clapping. My favorite shot from last week is Jason Garrett clapping, and then Dak Prescott walking by him, not acknowledging him. He goes to high-five him, and then Dak doesn't acknowledge him, and then he continues to clap some more.
That's easily my favorite thing that happens to Jason Garrett. I think I'm
taking the Cowboys, by the way.
I'm picking the Cowboys, too. I mean, they're at home. I know... even though I'm not getting points here, it's a Cole Beasley revenge game with Josh Allen in a dome. There's no wind. All I'm saying is Cole Beasley might be a play this week. I mean, if you have to play Cole Beasley, it's not a terrible one PPR. But I think that the Cowboys win this almost going away. It's going to be a big spotlight game for Josh Allen. He hasn't had too many of these types of games. He's looked great, but... he's still a little erratic. He's looked pretty solid. I mean, he gets the job done in the way he gets it done. He's been running the ball more than passing it effectively, and John Brown's been a great play. I think John Brown is continuing his 50 yards every single game streak, and I don't like any of the running backs there because they don't really know who to use. And Frank Gore, third most all time.
The immortal Frank Gore, the inconvenient truth.
I mean, what happens when Frank Gore's playing in 15 years and is like the all-time rushing leader by like 1,050 yards? Because it might happen.
The London Redcoats puts him out there for 3rd and 1. All right. New Orleans Saints travel to Atlanta. This also kind of seems like every third Thanksgiving. I remember this a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
it's a great rivalry. I don't care what the Falcons' record is. They stole a win a couple weeks ago against these very same Saints. Michael Thomas sneaking into the MVP race, even though it's kind of just like a fluff thing. He's really more into the Offensive Player of the Year race, right? But, I mean, why not? I love the Saints to show up in a big spot.
Yeah. I think the lights are on. I think the lights are off in Atlanta. I think that team's pretty much cooked. I think Dan Quinn knows his job's done. I don't really like the Falcons besides the fact that they beat the Saints once already. And they beat my Philadelphia Eagles. But Marshawn Lattimore might play. I mean, we're recording this Tuesday, so we're not 100% sure if he's going to play. But if he's on Julio, you got Russell Gage on the outside with Calvin Ridley. I mean, I like Russell Gage as a pickup, but I don't know if I like Russell Gage as a play this week. I like that he had 8 catches last week, and he seemingly cut into Calvin Ridley as well as taking the Mohamed Sanu role. So I definitely would advise against playing him this week, but I'm playing all Saints. Every Saint that I have.
So you're saying the Saints are going to cook Bird
this
Thanksgiving?
100%.
Tennessee Titans travel to my home state of Indiana to take on the Colts. Let me get a quick viewer question up here. This is from @Cleve Sport Fun, and his picture's a little baby Yoda guy. So, and he says,
adorable.
Wait, no, I got the wrong thing.
Oh,
so shout out for Cleve. Yeah, shout out to Cleve Sports who has Baby Yoda. But this is Jacob Brownie 23 at Jonders FPT. Do I drop Carson Wentz for Ryan Tannehill? And then I said my answer, but I want to get the Carson Wentz expert here to give his answer.
So the thing is, Jonders, there's two ways to look at this, right? There's a way to look at it from somebody who lives in Philadelphia, right? And you know he's going to get scooped as soon as you cut him. So somebody that lives 20 minutes from the stadium, I wouldn't cut him, but the smart play is to cut Carson Wentz. He has a very solid schedule coming up, and I like the fact that he's got some scrub teams on the docket, but I don't trust a single wide receiver on this team. Greg Ward was the leading pass catcher. We just cut somebody who played 90% of the snaps this week, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside looks kind of lost out there if you watch Dan Orlovsky's video, which I don't know to take at 100% truth, but I'd cut Carson Wentz just because I don't trust his production going forward, and that hurts me to say. And you got some weird smile going on, and I think you enjoy that. I mean,
I'm sick of Carson Wentz. Well, let's hold the Carson Wentz talk until we get to the Miami game later. Let's talk about this game. I think it was a coin flip game. I like Jacoby Brissett. I'm a big fan, but Ryan Tannehill has come on strong. He's definitely earned a starting job somewhere in the NFL next year, and it'll probably be in Tennessee. I think the best unit in this game is Tennessee's defense, but I like the home team in a coin flip game, so I'll take the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts are going to be without Marlon Mack again, and Jacoby Brissett almost seemed kind of lost last week. It was a weird game for him.
I'm not sure. Yeah, and hopefully another week he gets healthier, but he missed that Steelers game, and then he came back and he had that big brace on. So hopefully
they tried to integrate T.Y., and it wasn't.
I'm changing my pick. I'm picking Tennessee.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I like that pick. They tried to integrate T.Y. The problem is I feel like you have to play T.Y. every week because he always has a chance for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns just because he's that good. I played Jonathan Williams as well because he got 20-plus touches last week, and he had 21 points, I think. Something like that. He had 20-plus touches, we'll call that. And Nyheim Hines, I don't play.
Nyheim Hines.
He was a fringe PPR guy. I think he had 4 or 5 catches, but he didn't eclipse 10-plus PPR points, so I'm out on him. Eric Ebron's out, so if you need a tight end, Jack Doyle in a pinch might be a fine play, but there's definitely better tight ends. And the wide receivers in Tennessee are crapshoots. I think A.J. Brown's the safest play just because his yak has been unbelievable. I think he's third in yards per target, so he's a stud. Derrick Henry, of course, you play, and I don't know if I play anybody else there.
Moving on. The New York Jets against the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, the Jets just did it to the Raiders. 30. So they've scored 34 in their last 3 games. They've won all 3 of those games. Who's the guy that caught the long touchdown pass? B something.
Braxton Berrios.
Yeah. Double B. How are we thinking about him from a fantasy perspective? Is he somebody that we can start looking at?
I think he's too similar to Jamison Crowder to where I'd be like, I have to pick him up. But, I mean, if you're in a deep league and you need a shot in the dark, Sammy Darnold's kissing girls and slinging the ball. Do you see his story?
Yeah, he knows what it means to replace Broadway Joe. He's doing on and off the field.
I mean, he's going to come in with a giant fur coat, hopefully fake. But, I do like most of the Jets in this game, honestly. I like Robbie Anderson as a deeper gameplay. And I love Jamison Crowder in a PPR format just because he gets peppered. Demaryius Thomas, I'm sitting. Lev Bell, of course, you start. And they got Ryan Griffin, who's a solid tight end. He's been in the end zone the last couple weeks, and they signed him.
His score last week was ridiculous. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Like his controller died, but it was still going forward a little bit.
He was disconnected, but he was still slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to see the Jets finally get a tight end. What?
Sam Darnold didn't get mono by accident. I'll tell you that.
No, he definitely didn't. It was not an accident.
Is there anything we want to say quickly about the Raiders? Oh wait, no, we'll do that later. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I got crosswired.
we'll
Is there
dive
anything we
into
want to
the
say
Raiders.
about Andy Dalton starting?
It's good
now?
to see him back. The NFL was weird without him. Their quarterback play was abysmal, and honestly,
it's almost like they benched him on his 32nd birthday just to spite him.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, bud, take a seat. We got you a clipboard for your birthday." Like, it was just a brutal thing.
Hey, you think you're having fun out there? You're benched.
Like, I honestly think that they could have beaten the Steelers with Andy Dalton.
Is that why they benched him? I don't know, dude.
No, I mean
we're both taking the Jets.
Yeah, yeah, we have to.
Okay, sweet. Let's move forward to the Washington, the future London London Redcoats versus the current Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. It's been up and down for Allen. He looks better. Yep. Chris McCaffrey.
Yep.
I think the Panthers will win this game by default somewhat.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't care about this game so much, but there were some holier than thou takes on Twitter after Dwayne Haskins took some selfies on the sideline.
Oh yeah,
I think this is hilarious.
It's the funniest thing that's happened all year.
If you're offended by this, I don't know. You need to. I don't know what you need to do.
He's a 22-year-old kid that got caught up in finally winning a game for a team where they said that the offensive line didn't respect him literally a week ago on Twitter. And he led them to a solid win. I mean, the Lions are kind of garbage, but they did the thing that they had to do. I mean, they were 1-0 that week. That's all you're trying to do. And he finally reconnected with his boy from college, Terry McLaurin. Love seeing him play. I mean, him versus Darius Slay. I don't know if you've seen the full tape yet, but him going against Slay was beautiful. It was tremendous stuff. And on the other side, I've got a little man crush on my boy DJ Moore. DJ Moore is. Okay. He's very Steve Smith-like. You know what I mean? He's a PPR machine.
How tall is he?
He's short.
Okay.
So he's a PPR machine. He had 1 touchdown going into last week, and he had 2 this past weekend. And I think they're trying to make him a focal point, trying to take it not completely off Christian McCaffrey, because the problem is Christian McCaffrey's got 300 touches already. So they need to kind of spread the ball around. And DJ Moore's a stud, so...
So we're both taking Carolina for this 100%. Exercise. Yeah. I don't even know why we're picking these games.
Yeah, because
we've picked
the first
unison.
The first 6 games have been kind of a joke. I mean, we'll flip flop. Don't you worry.
I didn't listen to this podcast, but the Bill Simmons podcast in the headline said Jameis Winston Favre 2.0, and I deleted. I unsubscribed.
I mean, as you should have.
Suck it, sports guy. I unsubscribed. Tampa Bay is going up against Jacksonville.
Yep.
Jacksonville's a mess. I mean, I don't even know what the final score of that blowout was against the Tennessee Titans, but it was out of reach by halftime. I don't know.
I've got a soft spot for Nick Foles, right? I like DJ Chark a lot. He's a weekly start. D.D. Westbrook. I think I'd start D.D. Westbrook this week. I like him a lot. Leonard Fournette. He's always a weekly play. The problem is, they can't figure out what's going on. I mean, DeFilippo's down there, and that's kind of why Foles went down there, seemingly. And Foles he's feeling a little bit of pressure from Gardner Minshew, which was not the storyline I was expecting this year. But it doesn't look good. Their defense looked bad last week. So
I'm taking Tampa Bay kind of out of
protest. I'm expecting Mike Evans to bounce back from a blah week. You know, it's Chris Godwin week last week, so Mike Evans week this week. I respect that. Jameis Winston's got to get a contract.
Let's move forward. I'm done talking about that game. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I'm sure this will be a friendly affair where everybody's happy with one another and shaking hands at the end of the game. Duck is now in the game. Mason Rudolph has been benched because he's awful.
Yep.
I mean, all the reports are that he's just awful.
No, he's a terrible quarterback, and he's seemingly I don't know the reports on. I mean, I don't have insider information on if he's a good human being, but normally somebody doesn't swing on you like that if you're a solid human being. You know what I mean? So
I saw on Twitter this dude was like, I went to high school with Mason Rudolph, and he made me look at urinal, and it was 40,000 retweets. I was like, bro. Well, that could have just gone to the grave with you, man. You did not need to tell the internet about that.
Now 40,000 people know that you looked at urinal, and guess what? Everyone already knew that everyone in the NFL was probably a jerk at some point in high school. The only guy that I expect to be nice was probably Andrew Luck. Yeah, Russell Wilson was probably the nicest human. So,
I'm taking the Cleveland Browns. I mean, after what we saw last week, I think they're kind of got things going again. I think Odell can get in the end zone at least once. I think Landry can get there.
That'll happen. I think Odell finds the end zone, but I think the Steelers finish off the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns season ends this week. The Steelers are playing for a lot.
This is the first time we disagree.
I know. I think that Duck is actually better than Mason Rudolph. He ran a solid offense when he went in. I think there was too much going around in Mason Rudolph's head last week. I do kind of like James Washington.
There was too much going on inside of Mason Rudolph's head this week. All right.
Yeah, I see what we're doing here.
Opposed to last week. Okay, I don't know.
I got it the first time.
I'm surprised he still has a thought left in his head. Dear Lord.
Honestly, dude, this year has been brutal for that guy.
I mean, not to make light of it, but oh my God.
I mean...
Could you imagine being like that guy who's a jerk his entire life, who's like, haha, I can play football, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Going to the NFL, realizing that you cannot compete with the NFL players, and then Myles Garrett whacks you in the head with a football?
Dude,
or
like,
with a helmet?
It's like 6 weeks after he had his face guard removed, and that was brutal. Like, I mean, I would not be getting anyone angry, but...
Just like, hey, like you find out you're really bad at football, like, and then...
Hey, but I am playing Benny Snell this week. Benny Snell's a play for me. He looked extremely effective in the time. Well, there's stipulations. If James Conner's playing, I probably wouldn't play Benny Snell. But if he's not, and James Conner has seemingly not dealt with injuries like this well, so I'd fully expect Benny Snell to get probably the bulk of the carries, even if Conner plays. I still don't play him. Oh, what?
Am I emailing? So you're emailing me your video,
right?
And then am I making the video and then emailing it to Steve?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, let's move on. Green Bay Packers at the New York Giants.
Yep.
I was looking at some stuff today and like some advanced stats, some like deep stat stuff, and I saw that the Giants only have 2 wins on the year. So
that's a good stat.
Not great. Not going well. Going well. The Big Apple. Green Bay's coming off that embarrassing shellacking. That boat race that they fell victim to in what do they call that? The big bell bottom. That's the big bell bottom.
It sounds like what you're trying to hit on your girlfriend in high school with. Call her the big bell bottom.
What's up, big bell bottom? That's why I said like in high school. Hey, what's up, big bell bottom? We don't have to get too much into this game. But I don't know. I'm taking the Packers and. I mean, I did see some stuff. One of the things I saw was that they need to get Aaron Jones back into this offense because when Devante Adams was missing,
you saw that tweet?
Oh,
it's brutal. And I'm an Aaron Jones guy, and seeing him go like 0 to 3 targets, Devante Adams gets hurt in like 7+ targets, and then Devante Adams comes back and then like 0 to 3 again. And then watching Jamal Williams get like, I think he had 7 or so as well.
That's not how that offense works.
No, I think Aaron Jones is the better running back, but for some odd reason, when they get down, they seemingly go to Jamal Williams. I'm not sure why, but I might play both running backs. I'm playing both running backs for the Packers. I'm playing Devante Adams. Sit Jimmy Graham because I don't think they're going to need his large body. I don't think it's going to be like a big game where he finds the end zone twice. I don't play Allison or Scantling, and I only play Golden Tate, I think, and obviously.
What about Lazard?
Ooh, I do like Adam Lazard.
I don't understand how his names work because it's spelled like because it's spelled like lizard, but it's Lazard, but it's like not spelled like lizard as in like it's directly, but it's like the part that is pronounced different than lizard is spelled like lizard, like Lazard.
Yeah, no, I mean...
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, the part where it should sound like lizard, like the second part in lizard, is spelled like lizard, but it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, no, it's a bit bizarre. Lazard. All
right, we got there, folks. All right, now we're going to talk about Ryan McGinley's favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to go up against the D1 team, the Miami Dolphins, this week.
Hey, Jonders, do you think...
The Dolphins have been frisky.
Do you think that the Alabama Crimson Tide could beat the Dolphins?
No. Anyways, I'm taking my boy Ryan Fitzpatrick over my boy Ryan McGinley. I think the Dolphins are going to really give it to him. X used to give it to us in the 2000s. Now the Dolphins are going to give it to the Philadelphia Eagles. How about that?
Dude.
Go to Climb the Pocket's YouTube page if you're watching this on my podcast feed because
all I'm saying,
Ryan McGinley's facial expression.
All I'm saying is,
will you eat a hat if the Dolphins win this week?
No, I like my insides personally, but I might not be on the show next week. It might be you and Steve doing this whole thing because if the Eagles lose to the Miami Dolphins, there will be a day of reckoning. Let me tell you.
I think it could happen. I mean, they just cut Jordan Matthew. Everybody's complaining about how oh no, poor Ryan or poor
poor Ryan for sure. Poor Carson Wentz.
Poor Carson Wentz has no one to throw to, and he just lost to Russell Wilson throwing to Jacob Hollister and Malik Turner.
I love Jacob Hollister. That's not fair. Dude, and listen, Tyler Lockett was out there, obviously a decoy, but he was out there, and they had...
Yeah, after he spent 2 weeks in a San Francisco hospital.
Which is super aggressive for him to even go out there.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, he might have his leg amputated, and I was like... And they're like, oh...
He missed no time!
Pete Carroll was crunching his gum, he's like, yeah, he's playing this week. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Clearly not at full speed, and clearly just a decoy.
But... fun little thing for the Eagles game. I'm playing Devante Parker. He's been a stud the last couple weeks.
Great. You should start all your Dolphins because the Dolphins are gonna put a 40 burger.
He might
put a 40 burger on the Eagles.
Honestly, I'm not gonna rule that out. But I'm starting Devante Parker because he's I think he's 10 yards away from Odell Beckham Jr. He's got a similar amount of catches and twice the amount of touchdowns. So Devante Parker. Similar to OBJ, and OBJ always torches the Eagles, so, I mean, that's quick math.
Chris Carson fumbling on two
that was brutal.
Snaps in a row.
That was brutal. And then Russell Wilson was like, gosh darn it, man. You get
He looked visibly upset for the
first time ever.
For maybe it was the second or third time I've ever seen visibly upset on the football field.
It was awesome.
I mean, he went...
It was a small victory.
I've never
because,
seen him do that.
That's the only clip they're ever going to use of him angry, and it was against my Philadelphia Eagles, and no one's going to remember what the score was. But, yeah, start Devante Parker. Sit all Dolphin running backs because, 1, they're terrible, and 2, the Eagles' run defense is good. I'm playing Zach Ertz.
Still on suspension?
Yes, he's probably...
Yeah.
He got cut, I think, after the suspension. They've got...
Good for Miami. That's a real integrity move by the Dolphins.
Who everyone... make sure you start Laird this week. I think he had 2 points. And Kalen Ballage may be the worst guy I've ever seen.
How many points did Carson Wentz have last week?
I think he had 2. So I don't need the slander. But I'm starting Zach Ertz. I'm starting Dallas Goedert. I'm starting Miles Sanders. Listen, you're hitting a soft spot. It's still fresh. It's only been 2 days. And
Bill Belichick said on the Top 100 show, he said, attack weaknesses.
Yeah, all of them have been attacked, which kind of hurts.
All right, let's move on. The Los Angeles Rams are facing the Arizona Cardinals. I assume you're taking Eagles in that last game.
Yeah, I mean, I got to.
Okay, I'm taking the Dolphins, so we'll see who's right about that. Let's move on to the Rams, who were also embarrassed on primetime. Like the Packers were on Sunday Night Football. They were embarrassed on Monday Night Football. They're going against a familiar foe here in Arizona. Yep. Arizona's been frisky.
They have been. Dude, I like Arizona as a team. Not as a good team, but just watching them, I like to watch them. I wouldn't say
the Rams seem fundamentally broken.
Yeah,
and,
there's something weird going on there, for sure.
They barely beat the Panthers in Week 1.
Ooh,
I don't know, man.
Ooh, can we go out on a limb and say maybe we see Blake Bortles at some point during this game if they go down?
I was tweeting it. I
would love Blake Bortles.
We want Bortles.
Dude, if Jalen Ramsey has to be on the same team as Blake Bortles again, I'm going to be... Well, I mean, they're on the same team, but if Bortles is slinging it to Robbie Woods... And where's Cooper Kupp been, by the way?
I don't know. He was completely axed out of that game.
The problem is, you have to start Cooper Kupp because he may go off, but I don't love starting Cooper Kupp this week. Not starting Robert Woods. I'm done. I think I'm done starting Robert Woods as an always play. Gerald Everett is a fringe play just because I don't know. Well, Gerald Everett, I would start Gerald Everett just because the matchup against the Arizona Cardinals is really good. But I wouldn't expect craziness out of any Rams. And is Brandon Cooks back this week? I think he might be. So there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed from Jared Goff, who hasn't thrown a touchdown in over a month. So...
let's talk about those Ravens. I have something I want to say.
Already?
Booger McFarland.
Oh, brother. That's never a good start to literally anything.
He said... Oh, no, it was Joe Tessitore that said
okay,
this.
that's
He
fine.
said that there are no big. No, maybe it was Booker. I don't know. Somebody said it last night that there were no big names on the Ravens defense anymore.
Ooh, that's
Earl Thomas,
that one hurts.
Marcus Peters, Jimmy Smith, Judon.
Dude, you see Judon crushing Bruise after the game?
Yeah,
last
I saw
night?
that on Reddit. Yeah, that's great.
No, but that defense, I mean, it's perfectly schemed, and they've got the benefit where their offense is so good that I feel like most opposing offenses are just absolutely pressing against that defense. So.
Except for the Rams, who were like, "Oh, we'll score 2 field goals in the second quarter, and that'll be it."
Yeah. So like the cornerbacks can just pick passes off. Like Marcus Peters looks like Kansas City Chiefs All-Pro Marcus Peters, and he's talking big game again, which we haven't seen in a couple of years. I mean,
that was great. Idea of the Rams cutting Peters to trade for Ramsey, and then Ramsey and Peters fighting is just great.
Yeah, I mean,
just great.
Like everyone's like, "Oh, well, why is he yelling at Jalen Ramsey? He didn't do it." Well, I'm not gonna yell at like if I get dumped, I'm gonna yell at the new guy. You know, like that's what I'm doing. I'm yelling at the new guy, and you know, I'm comparing sizes. Like Marcus Peters.
Hey, I don't know about that.
Marcus Peters was in the right, and I loved it. So, we're going.
So I'm taking the Cardinals.
Yep.
And the Ravens.
I mean, I honestly can't even argue with that. I mean, the Ravens are playing San Fran this week, right? Yeah. Dude, it's gonna
Jimmy G's throwing one to Earl Thomas.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, Earl Thomas is a next level brain in that defense, and I'm excited about that. That game's gonna be sick, honestly. And
but there's no stopping Lamar Jackson. It's over.
Yeah, no, I mean Lamar Jackson. You can try Nick Bosa, but I don't think that's going to be like Nick Bosa's going to have to try to contain, and I'm not excited about that.
This is a fantasy show. Nick Bosa, noted racist. Hey, this is a fantasy show. Let's
Listen.
Just a note. I just wanted to put a note. But this is what I want to talk about. Well, Lamar Jackson changed the way that we think about drafting running backs in future fantasy drafts because you're getting all those rush yards and rushing touchdowns. Well, he changed the way because I know wait for the 6th round, whatever. But why not take a guy who can average 200 passing yards and 60 rushing yards in a game in the first round?
Lamar Jackson, I think, is going to be, if he's not a first round average draft pick, he's going to be high second round because it's absolutely crazy.
You're
what he's
averaging
doing.
60 yards plus your passing yards.
He's giving you the Gronk effect.
He's a first round pick.
He's giving you the Gronk effect where he gives you such an advantage over whoever the other guy is, unless it's Jimmy Graham, aka Pat Mahomes, circa whenever Jimmy Graham was good. It's the same idea. Like you need one of those two guys, and you already have a distinct advantage. Like having him over. I don't know, if he's a high second round pick, you're taking him over Lev Bell, and I would much rather have Lamar Jackson next year.
But at the end of the day, like there's gonna be multiple weeks where both Lev Bell and Lamar Jackson both have 60 rushing yards.
Exactly. There's gonna be weeks where he has his passing yards and touchdowns, and then there's his like 55-yard run where he also scored. Like, dude,
are you taking Baltimore?
Yeah, you talked me into it because I just got super hyped about Lamar Jackson. I do love everything about the San Francisco 49ers. Their offense under Shanahan has been beautiful. For a team
they're a great wildcard team. They're a great wildcard team.
Exactly.
Good for them.
Exactly. So I understand why you're 100% taking the Ravens now. It clicked after, talking
after I said they're a wild card
for sure.
team.
And
Look,
it didn't even click the first time, Jonders.
First of all,
yeah.
These both because Lamar Jackson has a great day. That's going to be harder for Russell Wilson to get the MVP.
For sure.
49ers have a great day. It's going to be harder for Russell Wilson to get the 1 seed.
Ooh, you are
what do I want?
between a rock and a hard place.
I want the 1 seed.
Ooh, you want a game-winning Justin Tucker field goal 3-0.
3-0. Yeah, you're right. That is what I want.
Yeah, but to start for the 49ers, I'm starting Emmanuel Sanders, I think, because...
Is he alive?
Yeah, he's good. Ish.
Remember when Chris Collinsworth said on Sunday Night Football, the 49ers not having any wide receivers is so 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, he said.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to pull
I was saying that for the rest of the night. So 3 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, that might be my Twitter bio now.
So 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm starting Kittle, of course. I'm starting Tevin Coleman because it looks like he's the main guy, and Matt Breida's always banged up. So Tevin Coleman, I'm definitely playing. And that's it, I think, on their offense. I'm not starting Jimmy G. Of course, I'm starting Lamar Jackson. I'm starting Mark Ingram. Marquise Brown has found himself into the good favors of all teams, but I'm not starting him this week because he's got a very tough matchup. I'm sure you survived without him the last couple weeks. I mean, the 49ers pass defense is second to only the Patriots, who was, I think, second or third in the last 20 years.
Do you know who's in that pass rush for the 49ers?
Oh, for the pass rush. Is it Solomon Thomas?
No, I thought you were. I was zoned out for a while. I just wanted to bring up again that Nick Bosa, noted racist. I just want to throw that.
Also, they've got Richard Sherman, pretty good.
Oh yeah, he's great. I'm a big fan of him. He's great. No, I'm serious. My affinity for Richard Sherman knows no bounds. I'm a big fan.
And we're starting Mark Andrews. That's it. Boom.
Once again, I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. Is there anything fancy about this? Like
the Chargers
Rivers, where you can throw 4 picks.
I mean, you start Keenan Allen, you start Hunter Henry, and you start Melvin Gordon. Mike Williams, he's hurt, I believe, but I'm also not starting him. I think Austin Eckler's time is done. I don't think they're using him correctly, so I'm sitting Austin Eckler as well, which stinks because I really like Eckler, and I think next year if he steps back into the role he had earlier, he should be good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for them, you know.
I'm a big fan of Austin Eckler. Who do you want to take in this game? I'm taking the Chargers.
I mean, I guess so, because this is where the Chargers do that thing where they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're also going to make their draft pick worse. And, you know, Philip Rivers may end up in Tennessee, I hear. I hear Tennessee's where he wants to play if he's not.
And then Tom Brady will end up in Los Angeles, right?
That'd be kind of sick, actually. He looked very sweltery in those powder blues, let me tell you.
I can see it in my head. But McGinley's the one that does the edits on the Photoshop. Yeah. Oakland, coming off their embarrassing loss to the New York Jets, traveling to the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes seems to be in full health now. He seems to be getting back to it.
Yep.
This is we flirted with the idea of bringing John Gruden back to the fold of respectable head coaches. Mike Mayock certainly did his part in that. I mean, he's given him a roster. No, seriously, Max Crosby and some of these other rookies that Gruden was gifted from Mike Mayock. Josh Jacobs, pulled from that game early because the inaccuracy of the play calling and such. Mm-hmm. But I mean, gun to my head, Andy Reid, John Gruden. Gun to my head, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr.
That's where you make the choice right there, because
I mean, I don't know. I'm taking
a couple
Kansas
of redheads against
what.
each other. You know, you can flip a coin on the redheads with Gruden and Andy Reid.
I've never thought of Gruden are they redheads?
I think they're at least a nice strawberry blonde. There's no way that Andy Reid's not. Dude, I think Andy Reid's at least a redhead. I'm not. Gruden's close, but I'd bet at least $5 that Andy Reid is. Anyway, Derek Carr. He was my sit quarterback of the week last week. The
Raiders fans started chirping about Derek Carr before the Jets game, and then they're all silent now.
Like, I mean, the matchup was bad, right? But it wasn't like I'm gonna get pulled in the third quarter bad. No,
Mike Glennon.
Dude, and his first snap, he immediately dropped, and I lost my mind. That was tremendous. From that. I guess you only start Josh Jacobs.
I had flashbacks to being in a bank here in Chicago the day after Mike Glennon was signed by the Bears. And someone was like, oh, I don't know, it could work out. It's pretty good. And then I just started yelling at this poor man.
It didn't work out.
So I hope that man thinks about me sometimes.
Yeah, he's like, that crazy kid was yelling at me about Mike Glennon. Yeah, but
he was right, though. He was right. You had a good point.
I guess Darren Waller's a fine play. He finished as, I think tight end 8 last week with 7 points. Because tight ends are so bad, but
Jacob Hollister.
Dude, I love Jacob Hollister. I mean,
New England traveling to Houston to play on Sunday Night Football.
Also, Tyreek Hill's probably not playing, maybe, possibly. So pick up Sammy Watkins and/or Byron Pringle. That's who I'd like to see out there.
Once you start, you can't stop. Yeah. Hey, New England. I think this is gonna be a get right game for their offense. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've seen Deshaun Watson have one bad game and one good game against the Patriots defense, but this is a different Patriots defense. I'm taking New England.
Yeah, I think that this is pretty much. I'm not sure how the Texans how their playoff look is, but it's kind of make or break, I'd assume. But this is a tough game. I think that the problem's going to be that they're going to put Gilmore on Hopkins. he's normally not on the number one, but I'm assuming they saw how effective he was against Amari Cooper this last week. So the play for me personally would be to have Will Fuller and Kenny Stills beat me, and I think that's kind of what you have to do. You put a couple McCourties out there, and you should be fine on defense. I think that I start Hopkins, but I temper my expectations. I don't expect him to be inside the top 20 in receiving this week. I don't know if I start anyone really besides him on the Texans. I don't start Hyde. I don't start Duke Johnson. I don't start Will Fuller. I don't start Kenny Stills. I start Deshaun. You know what? I don't even think I start Deshaun Watson at this point, because the last 2 games that the Patriots have played, Dak Prescott had 2 points, and then Carson Wentz had a bailout touchdown to Dallas Goedert that probably could have been a fumble. But
well, if it was Carson Wentz, sure.
Well, yeah, I guess we're gonna take prop shots here, but yeah, no, I honestly, I'm talking myself out of Deshaun Watson.
What did I want to say? I want to say something and then
start James White. We're starting Julian Edelman. We're starting
Julian Edelman, future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
that wasn't a question. That was me saying that's what he is.
Yeah.
So we're about taking New England there. So the Patriots.
Yep.
2 McCourty twins.
Right.
The Seahawks. 2 Griffin twins.
Yeah.
How about that?
And
we're talking about the Seahawks versus the Vikings now.
I mean, yeah. Your boy almost
Shaquille almost picked up that ball against you.
That was the most brutal play of all time. It was just
he did pick up the ball. It was just
it just didn't count.
It was called back to you.
It was just a slow, plodding fumble recovery where, like, I felt like it was in slow motion, but it was actually in, like, normal speed, and it just continued to rip my heart out. But it was good to see him.
It was so wholesome for me.
Yeah,
it was just such a great
he's now pass rushing instead of just being mostly a special teamer.
Yeah, he's a situational
that's
pass
cool.
rush. So he's in a third downs a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm taking.
This is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's
in prime time.
It's Kirk Cousins in
Seattle.
prime time. I think I gotta go Seattle, just because this would be, honestly, if Kirk Cousins pulls it out, it's his best win of his career, I think.
Yeah, we saw this game pretty much his exact game last year. It was Monday night in Seattle versus the Vikings. It was pretty similar in the schedule. It was a Monday night. Man, Kirk Cousins did not show up that day. The Seahawks just, I don't know what it is in the water, but they've now figured out that they're the team to beat in the NFC. No. They're not going to hear anything different. DK Metcalf holds on to a couple balls against your Eagles. That score is completely different. 100%. It looks like a route.
Yeah.
There's still a few passes that Russell Wilson makes every week that I don't care who we're talking about.
No, I completely agree. I mean, he's the best ball placer.
Yeah, his ball placement is bar none.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's an elite thrower. I mean, he's got the best deep ball in the league. I mean, I understand arguing Pat Mahomes, but that's different. Pat Mahomes' arm is better, but Russell Wilson can put the ball perfectly on somebody whenever he needs to. And
everybody on my timeline. So I tweeted something about Carson Wentz, and I'm not. Okay, at this point,
it's not a pop shot.
Carson Wentz Carson Wentz threw. Who was it to? To Sanders? Who was he throwing to? That.
The Miles Sanders.
He throws it like 6 yards over his head, and I'm like, dude, that's the worst throw I've ever seen Carson Wentz throw. And then people on Twitter are like, well, it's blah blah blah, it's windy, whatever.
No,
and then I look up,
it has
and
to be a throw that is made.
I look up and I see the flea flicker play where Russell Wilson throws it for 59.9 air yards, and it's the second longest air distance a ball has ever been this year. And he places on Malik Turner perfectly. That ball was perfectly placed, and it's like, all right, well, Carson Wentz was drafted second overall. I mean, this is what, like, and that's kind of where, because I think my judgment of people is skewed. Like, so people talk about
the
whatever, but it's
value.
like, but what I'm saying is that, like, it's Carson Wentz's job to hit Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I mean that
I don't
was
care
that
what
was
the weather is.
I mean, me and you could have made that throw. That was a terrible throw, but you're not speaking mostly on Carson Wentz. You're speaking on how beautiful Russell Wilson's deep ball is, and we see one or two of those.
Well, I grade the NFL on the curve is what I'm saying. It's like, all right, so if Russell Wilson's the best, then like you're like Carson Wentz is failing, is what I'm saying. Like, because if we're grading on a curve, then like that's how it is. Yeah, and I kind of do this with like Russell Wilson's been the top. I don't know when Lamar Jackson's numbers are gonna be put in, so he might be usurped by the time you're listening. But Russell Wilson's in the top on Pro Football Focus, and that's kind of the grade I curve on. It's like,
Yeah,
all
that's
right,
fair.
so in my head, like, this is how good I think Russell Wilson is. And like when I see Mitch Trubisky play, for example, it's like they're not even playing the same sport.
No. Russell Wilson he's masterful at what he does. And like the Eagles had, I think, 2 sacks of Russell Wilson last week, and that was shocking for me. It was shocking to see him actually get sacked because that doesn't happen with him. He's elusive. He knows how quickly he needs to get the ball out. He knows how much time he has. He knows how much time it takes for a route to develop, and he knows how much time it takes Tyler Lockett to get down the field. But I'm also not starting Tyler Lockett this week because I'm not sure how that ankle or the leg. He was a decoy this week against the Eagles, and I need to see him fully healthy to actually play him. But I'm playing DK Metcalf. I'm playing Jacob Hollister because he immediately filled in for Will Dissly. Is he hurt? He was a little banged. Jacob Hollister.
Dissly's.
Yeah, no, I know Will Dissly.
Oh, Hollister, no.
He got a little banged up on one play, but I think he eventually got back in the game. So I'm playing Hollister again. Not playing Josh Gordon because he's seemingly only in on third downs. And I'm playing Rashad Penny this week because...
Although, I think that speaks to the Seahawks coaching staff.
For
like,
sure.
if they're teaching him third down packages first, like, that's not... Like, that's... I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not the way you see it. And,
No.
like, I don't think I've ever seen this before where a team is teaching their third down package to a player first and just saying you get to play on third down.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's crazy to see what they're actually doing with him just because it seems like that's where he's being used. I think they're having everything be complicated, seeing where his mind's at first. I think they wanted to see how they could test him, and now that they trust him more, I think he caught 2 or 3 passes against the Eagles. They're going to integrate him more. So
He caught some
there's a
clutch.
couple huge third downs that he caught that I'm like...
In the 49ers game, it was, I mean, game on the line.
Yeah.
But I want to speak about something really quick before we go. The top 20 linebackers of all time list was announced from NFL Network for their top 100 team.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Wagner's name omitted. That's a farce. Luke Kuechly's name was on there. Brian Urlacher's name was on there. I think both those players are looking up at Bobby Wagner.
I think Bobby Wagner should be a top 20 linebacker of all time.
He's definitely better than Luke Kuechly, so explain to me why he's on the list and not Bobby Wagner.
I definitely think he's better than Kuechly if you see the complete frame of work. Bobby Wagner has been consistent. He's been an all-pro. I mean, he's been the most underappreciated player probably of our lifetime. I mean, I can't think of a guy that's been less appreciated for being so great. I was trying to I was mentally comparing him to Patrick Willis today when the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Patrick Willis is on the list and he should be. Yeah, and Patrick Willis. Did I put him on my list? I should have put him on my list. I put out earlier today.
Yeah, you did. That's what sparked me.
Patrick Willis should be in the Hall of Fame
for sure, and I think Bobby Wagner should be a first ballot guy, and I think he should be a top 20 linebacker of all time. So, you know.
I saw someone today. I didn't even respond to them, but someone was like, "Hey, oh no, actually I did mention him, but whatever." He said something about fun fact: Sam Mills and Steve Hutchinson shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and I was pissed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty
if you're watching this or listening to this before Wednesday, I'll be performing in the Mission Theater at 8 at the IO, and then on Friday I'll be performing at Studio 11 or in Studio 11 at the Chris Farley in IO. That's at 10:30. It's always a fun show, and I'm happy to be taking part of both those Thanksgiving blowouts. Subscribe to Four Pass Thinking on wherever you get podcasts from. Subscribe to Climb the Pocket's YouTube page. Go to climbthepocket.com, at Climb the Pocket on Twitter. Ryan, you got anything else?
So I will answer all of your questions in the comments. So if you ask me any start sit questions, I will make sure that I get them timely. I appreciate how much we've grown in the last, 2 or 3 weeks. We've gained 50 subs in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And when we get to 300, we're looking to give away something. So if you made it this far into the show, you might as well subscribe anyway, but that's a little incentive. It's great to have Jonders back on the episode. And, I look forward to next week.
So Ryan McGinley is in a long-term relationship, but he hasn't bought any hardware yet. So, I don't know, just throwing it out there. If you have any questions in that realm, why hasn't he bought his girlfriend an engagement ring?
Dude,
why
I'm
is
in
he?
So much trouble now.
Does she watch this? She doesn't watch this.
No, there's no shot.
Yeah. All right. But all I'm saying is that,
it's out there.
Put his feet to the fire. I wasn't invited to Big Rich's wedding, but I'm going to stand up at Ryan McGinley's wedding. Groomsman, baby. Always the groomsman, never the groom.
I don't know if that's the saying, but, it's good to have you back.
Get home safe, everybody. Bye.